So this video is all about a lucky podcast, interviewing lottery winners on a lucky podcast.
Are you listening?
So this video is all about what I'm calling a lucky podcast, interviewing lottery winners and people that have come into sudden wealth and sudden fame. It's one of the things I'm doing on this channel. My name's Timothy Schultz. I'm actually a lottery winner myself. In 1999, I won the Powerball. It's one of the biggest, craziest, most surreal, life-changing things that's ever happened to me. And, after I won, I went back to college to study journalism and film and broadcast news. And I've worked on various productions whereby I've interviewed quite a few people. But now I'm combining my experience with my desire to meet and interview other people on this YouTube channel. And some of those people happen to be other lottery winners. Other people that have won the lottery and other people that have come into sudden wealth and sudden fame, because I find it very interesting and even sort of cathartic to meet some of these people because it's such a rare thing to happen to somebody. I think you have a better chance of being killed by lightning, dying in an airplane crash, being crushed by a vending machine, and being killed by a falling coconut, and being crushed by a meteorite. You have the better chance of dying of all these things than that of hitting a lottery jackpot or hitting the big one. But somebody somewhere eventually always wins. If you play the lottery, never spend more than you can afford to lose. I say this all the time, but it's true. Never spend more than you can afford to lose because the odds are awful and it's really not the way to get rich quick for most people. But somebody does win eventually. People win. And I'm meeting these people, and I find it very, very interesting to meet others that have experienced this because it is so rare. And I'm not just interviewing lottery winners on this channel, it's other people that have come into sudden wealth in other ways, such as I interviewed someone that won $2 million who had a huge slot machine win, and I'll put a link to that interview below. But what happens when you hit a major slot machine win? What is there, a fanfare of people and balloons coming down? I was just very curious what happens and how that can change your life. So I did interview Bert Dickerson, and that's one of the interviews. But it can be one of the most life-altering things that can happen to somebody. And for me, it really turned my life on its head, both for the positive and for the negative in some ways. And I'm exploring that a lot in a book that I've been writing. I'll put a link to that below. But this video is not about my book. This video is about some of these interviews that I'm doing with other people. And I'm not just interviewing people that have come into sudden wealth and sudden fame. That's not the only thing I'm doing on this channel, just to be clear, because I am just interviewing people that I find very, very fascinating. I have a lot of personal interest in things such as the power of the mind and exploring things such as the law of attraction, exploring the power of dreams. That sort of thing is very intriguing to me because I've had many dreams throughout my life that have come true, including this dream about winning the lottery before I won the lottery. I'll put a link to a video below I did about that. So I find those types of subjects very interesting, and I'm interviewing experts on that sort of thing. So if you are new to my channel and you want to see some of these interviews or future vlogs that I'm doing on this channel, do consider subscribing and hitting the bell icon to be notified when they come out. But this video is what I have titled Lucky Podcast, specifically about people that have come into sudden wealth that I'm interviewing on this channel. And I think it's one of the most rare things that does happen to people. It really does happen to people. And it is very fulfilling to me to meet other people that have experienced that type of thing throughout their lifetime. And just to be clear, I labeled this video as Lucky Podcast, but it's not always lucky, okay? Because winning mass amounts of money is not always necessarily a positive thing. Like, I've seen it ruin people's lives. I have not interviewed someone on this channel that has had their life ruined because of it. Most of the people that I've interviewed so far anyway, it's been a pretty positive experience. And so I know it can be a very positive experience for people. But the podcast I'm doing is not necessarily just about being lucky, but it is what I titled this video, because it can change lives for the better and in some cases and for the worse as well. And for some people I think it's sort of in between, in the gray area. It hasn't all been positive for me. It's been mostly positive, but there has been some negative things, which I am writing about in my book. But I find it very intriguing how it's changing the lives of other people. So that's one of the reasons why I'm doing this. But without further ado, let's get to some of these interviews that I have on this channel that I've either already produced or are upcoming, and it depends upon when you're watching this video for whether they have or have not been released. And I will put a link to all of them below if you'd like to watch or listen to any of them. But the first lottery winner interview that I released on this channel was with Nick Rocco. Now, he won $1 million in the Massachusetts State Lottery. He was featured on national television on My Lottery Dream Home, and I just found his story very intriguing. He really was into real estate, and he's also very much into gambling, but he seemed pretty humble, but it was a very, very positive story about how it changed his life. And I got to ask him about, whether the sudden lottery fame, how that affected him. It was just a very interesting interview. So if you want to check that out, I will put a link below. But then the first actual lottery winner that I ever interviewed, even though it wasn't the first video that was posted, the first one that I actually interviewed was Denise Harvey. She's actually a Powerball winner, and she had some really interesting experiences prior to her winning that led her to believe that something big was about to happen, and she related it to her deceased husband. And I just found that very interesting. She also invested heavily into real estate. And, I got to really talk to her about how it changed her life. And I got to see her and meet her in person, which was amazing. Her house was incredible, and it really changed her life in a very positive way. So I was super excited to speak with her. And the second lottery winner that I actually ever interviewed was Lana McKenzie in Canada, who won 2.2 million Canadian. And her story is really, really unique because she won at the BC Children's Hospital. Her son, he had some work with his kidneys in a hospital when he was young, and they have a lottery at that hospital. So she played to support the hospital and ended up winning. So it's really a heartfelt, wonderful story. And I love it when there are positive stories, how it can really change someone's life drastically for the better. There's something really fulfilling about seeing that. And also, in addition to lottery winners on this channel, I have interviewed a professional poker player, Mark Herm, and got to talk to him about the power of the mind and his tips on playing poker and how much he's won and his strategies. Even if you're not into poker, I highly advise listening or watching that because it's really, really interesting, what goes on in someone's mind at that level. He's not just playing in his garage. He's doing that professionally on ESPN, the World Series of Poker. It's kind of a big deal. It takes a lot of stuff going on up here. So I found it to be a very interesting interview. And then I interviewed someone that won $2 million on a slot win. Can you believe that? I will put a link to that. But, it's just really fulfilling to meet other people that have hit it big, because it does happen to people. I recently interviewed Natalie Bosselman, who won $1 million from the Publishers Clearinghouse. And she believes actually that she did at least partially manifest this win with her mind through the law of attraction. It's very interesting because before I won the Powerball, I believed that I was going to win. Maybe it's coincidence, but who's to say? But it's very, very interesting. And I also interviewed lottery winner Randy Rush, who won $50 million in Lotto Max. He actually has a book coming out, and how it changed his life was very, very intriguing. I got to talk to him about all kinds of things. What it's like when people try to scam you or come to you that are seeking money, because he was actually involved in a multi-million-dollar lawsuit when someone scammed him out of money, I think most of which he got back, but his story is just very, very interesting. And now he's doing wonderful humanitarian things in the third world. He was just really, really interesting to speak with. So if you are new to my channel and you want to see some of these, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon to be notified when these interviews come out. I also have future interviews coming out with other lottery winners, and not just lottery winners, just people that I find very, very fascinating. So do let me know, who else would you like to see me interview on this channel? I love checking out your comments. As always, thank you so much for watching, and thank you for your support.